I'm joined by Davidson from Discovery Education. It's taken at least 20 minutes to get you from a stage 10 metres over here. What is it about the things that you've been sharing that absolutely clicks with educators here in the Middle East?
Well, I think click is a good description. I think was what you said, is you present material that works in their school with their students. So I spent yesterday visiting schools. So it was fun to work with the staff, and we actually did work with students. We showed them a science lesson, broke them into groups, which is a lot of fun to do. The school administrators are there, and we're doing a differentiated science lesson. Some are making videos, some are making paper slide videos, some are doing physical dances in science to explain the rotation of the Earth. So we did that, and it gave me a sense of what they look for in these schools. So particularly in this country, they are really looking forward. This is a forward-thinking country, and they think, what can we do to get our students ready? Future ready is part of this conference's manifesto. So this whole presentation is basically to say your core materials, your textbooks should be digital. They should be readable on any device, right? Whatever you've got. Once you've done that and your teachers are along with that, you have these devices that have cameras in them. They have microphones, they have the ability to do VR, they have GPS. So this, particularly in this country, they said, okay, that's a good way to start thinking in a different way.
So, I mean, the idea of putting the textbooks on digital format, in my country, and certainly in the States, there are naysayers. There are people who would say, throw that out, start from scratch. We can just jump straight into the augmented reality. We can do it. Give us apps. Why is it so important to actually take that initial step of digitizing the content that we're used to before then undertaking some of the exciting stuff that you were showing there?
The real answer to that is teachers. The real answer is teachers. You can't build an app or a strategy that doesn't make teachers comfortable and that makes teachers leaders. If you can make the teachers leaders, it will happen. So we've learned from a lot of failed experiments, well, it's always good to experiment, that if you just take devices as if they're magic and drop them in a class and think this kind of magic that we saw happen today will happen, it won't happen. You have to do training, and that's why I emphasized in there, this is a 2 to 3 year journey to get to where we're going. This is why you want to get there. This is why at the end of 3 years, a teacher can say, go out and do a virtual reality of the parking lot because the parents don't know how to drop off students.
You were using this tool. It looks like a cardboard box. It is a cardboard box.
It is a
but
cardboard box.
On the other side we have these it looks like binoculars.
Well, part of these are wonderful things. Part of how this works is VR devices like the Oculus and those other expensive ones have all these things in them. And it turns out that we have about 80%, some would say more, of that technology in a mobile phone. So if I take a mobile phone and I drop it in here and then close it up and make a headset out of it like this, then wherever I want to go, I can go. So Discovery makes an app where you watch an episode of Mythbusters being shot, for example. So you're watching Jamie do whatever he's doing, but then you can look over here, and you look over here and see the cameraman, and there's a sound man, and here's the guy with the fuse. That's when the barrel's going to blow up. So you get to see the whole thing.
So that's a great example to get people into it, but it is more than a gimmick. It's more than just another tool. Some of what you were saying there is, especially in a climate like this, it's not always possible to jump in a school bus and head out and go somewhere different. Right. So what kind of, this was a click moment with educators here. What is it about this region that really switches people onto this?
Part of it is that I think they have an experience here that they're proud of and they'd like to share. So not only can they see their colleagues, we looked at a school in Jordan in a refugee camp, and you realize, this benefits everybody to take my students and let them see what goes on here and what goes on there. I think that was one of the moments. They also can share that when they build these themselves. So for this country, I think the notion of bringing the world into the school, this is a great way to do it. And I have to say, we've been talking about this for a while, but yesterday, this is the day before, 2 days before this conference started, Mark Zuckerberg was talking about how this isn't just a video game thing. He loved Oculus, so he bought it, Facebook bought it. He said, this is about sharing the deepest experiences. We really can get in somebody else's shoes and walk around. And I think that when I can look at your children's school, when I can look at the aftermath of a war, that it can change my thinking. And we're in a country right now that some would think is, needs the experience.
And two huge kind of buzzwords around the world here, but overseas too, empathy and experiential learning. And they're two incredibly hard things to do when you're sat effectively in a box. Yeah. And sometimes the view out the window is not the most inspiring one. Right. So here you can really live the experience much deeper than trying to imagine and trying to use the flat 2D screen in front of you.
And the amazing thing is that the human mind is a wonderful thing, and students are great thinkers, and they don't have to spend 2 hours in this. Yeah. If I can walk from my room to the cafeteria and see this, and I look at the food I'm eating, and I go back and here's my house, that's really all I need. It makes you very quiet to realize what some other people go through on a day-to-day basis. And I think we all know that empathy is a great way to build camaraderie, which is a great way to cease conflict. Yeah. So.
And you spend a large chunk of your time at events like this. What is it about GESS 2016 that has stood out as something a little bit different for you?
I would say the enthusiasm of the teachers was unexpected. I go to a lot of places and see a lot of things, and initially when you walk into a room, this, like other places, it seems very reserved. But in fact, the teachers are not reserved. The teachers want to experiment. They come up and they say, how do I try this? And they ask the right questions. Where do I get this exactly? Okay, that sounds good. Show me on my phone. So I'm out there on the phone flipping around and I go, gee, it should be here. And then we can't find it. Then we find it on this phone and she tells this, this is where I found it. And so those are the questions that tell you they really want to do it. And it's clear that these people care deeply about their students and about the educational process. And they know that this is a way to bring things they otherwise do not have access to their students.
You can find more of Paul and your colleagues' work on Discovery Education online, including lots of ideas on how to get started, which I think is the first step is the most important, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, and go to the Den. It's a community of teachers. If you go to community.discoveryeducation.com, you'll see a group that they've been culled from 1 million teachers, and they all share and they do great jobs, and their lessons are archived and online, and it's all free, and we just support the great work that classroom teachers are doing. And what I hope is we come back to some of the teachers that were so active in my session, and we go back and next year at this conference we see them presenting some of the wonderful things they've done with their students.
A wonderful idea. Thanks for everything you do for education, and thanks for everything you've done here at GESS 2016.
It's a pleasure. Great conference.